The Warrior Priest of Sigmar is out. He's been out for about a day, and I am pretty convinced that I have a very solid build for him. But before we get into that, let's talk about him a little bit. His passive ability, Righteous Fury. Saltspire gains Fury when enemies die nearby. On reaching 100% Fury, he briefly enters Righteous Fury and his attacks smite the enemy for 20% of weapon damage. Saltspire loses Fury while out of combat. So he kind of has this almost like an overheat bar type deal, and when it fills up, every time he attacks an enemy, that enemy takes a additional hit of 20% damage. So it's pretty good passive, allows you to deal a little extra damage. It's kind of nice. His career skill, Shield of Faith. Saltspire imbues himself or an ally with a shield, rendering them immune to damage for 5 seconds. Upon expiring, the shield explodes, inflicting damage on nearby enemies. Hold to target allies. So you can choose to protect yourself or a friend for a few seconds, and when that time is up, the shield explodes and it does some damage over time to the enemies that are nearby. He's also got Enemy of Chaos, an additional 30% bonus to power versus Chaos Warriors and Standard Bearers. Yeah, that's pretty good. Incorruptible, 100% curse resistance. There's never a need to run curse resistance on this guy. And then he's got Implacable. Damage dealt to Saltspire is reduced by 20%. A further 20% of incoming damage is dealt to Saltspire over 3 seconds. Saltspire cannot be killed by damage dealt by Implacable. So this is kind of a strange passive. You get some damage reduction, but then you take that damage later on in the form of like bleed damage or like damage over time. And that, I believe, cannot kill you. So you basically, it's not even really like it's damage reduction. You still take the damage, it just, you don't take it all at once. So, you know, under the right, very specific circumstance, this could help you out. For today's weapon, I will be using the new Flail and Shield, and for that, you would think you would want Staggering for THP, but it actually does so much damage that you're going to end up killing things most of the time. So I'm taking Damaging for temp health with this weapon. With a heavy attack, I believe, you know, it's a flail, so it probably has a tank modifier on it, which allows you to cleave a lot of armored units together, and just, you're going to already be able to cleave infantry units, so you're going to be able to make tons of temp health this way. Pretty easy, pretty consistent. Even though you can only get 5 per swing, you're still going to be making quite a bit. On his level 10 line, I'm choosing to run Unstoppable Force. Striking 3 enemies in a single attack halves the cost of pushing for 4 seconds. So instead of a push costing a full stamina shield, it costs half a stamina shield, which is nice. I like this talent because you're going to be able to proc it with pretty much every attack that you do. With this weapon, you're going to be spamming heavy attacks. Occasionally, you'll do some light attacks or like a push attack. But for the most part, the heavy attack, because you can block with that shield while you're charging a heavy attack, which is really nice. So after a heavy attack, you can just kind of push an enemy for almost no cost, which is really good because this weapon, the one downside of it is it only has 4 stamina shields. For a shield weapon, that's kind of low. On his level 15 line, I'm taking Smiter, which is going to allow you to do more melee damage than Mainstay in pretty much all scenarios. Smiter is the reason I'm running this Damaging for THP, by the way, simply because it does more damage. If I were running Mainstay, it does less damage for the most part, so I would want to run the Staggering with that because I would not be killing enemies as much as I would be with Smiter. On his level 20 line, From Fury Fortitude is what I've been liking. Each kill during Righteous Fury restores health to the party based on the health of the slain enemy. So when Righteous Fury is going and you're attacking, which you're doing a lot with this weapon, you're attacking a bunch of enemies, you can hit lots of them at once. That's more healing for the entire party, including yourself, by the way. So this is a really good one if you don't want to have to rely on like Natural Bond or something. On his level 25 line, I've got Prayer of Hardiness, blesses the party with plus 15% max health. So that's pretty good. That includes you and your friends, obviously. The thing about his level 25 line is that they're all really stinking good. So it kind of depends on your team comp, what you want to do. You know, if you have like a Sister of the Thorn or a Shade and a Pyromancer, like a bunch of people, that depends on like high crit chance and crit damage, then maybe you want to stack a 35% increased crit power. That's pretty good. Maybe you want to hit some stagger break points with like a Foot Knight Ironbreaker type team, you can do that. Just I have Prayer of Hardiness as just kind of a general rule. Like if you're going into quick play, you know, this is a pretty good one to run. Just kind of like almost like this is a default one to run because it's just good. You know, it has no downsides for anybody. Like if you run the crit power as a default and there's no crit classes, you know, you have like an Unchained or a Mercenary or something. For the most part, like that's not really going to benefit them too much. So I just kind of take this one as a default, but definitely look at your level 25 line for your team comp and change it accordingly. On the level 30 line, all his ults are pretty good. The Comet's Gift lets you revive and heal, but I don't think we really need this one because we do have From Fury Fortitude for our necessary healing. Unyielding Blessing is a really good one. It lasts longer and allows you a little bit of mobility as you can kind of dagger man-sized enemies. That's pretty nice, but I've really been liking United in Prayer. Shield of Faith always affects Saltspire as well, so basically what's superior about this ult, I think, is it works at any distance, right? So if you just use it and you don't target anyone with like who you want to, if you don't choose anyone in particular, like who you want the shield around, it'll just go to the closest person on your team, regardless of distance, so they could be all the way across the map, and they'll still protect you and them for the 5 seconds, which is really good. However, you can choose who you want, you can target it, and you can protect half your team for 5 seconds, which I think is really good. So if you have, you say you're in a quick play, right, and you have just that, you know, that one guy that just, maybe they're newer to that difficulty or whatever, they take more hits, they're just going down a lot, you can kind of focus on them and just protect them while also protecting yourself. I think this is a really good one, and it might even be his best one. I don't know. I really like it a lot, especially for a support type build. For his equipment, as I mentioned, Flail and Shield. I've got attack speed, block cost reduction, and currently running parry on it. I'm running parry because every time you charge a heavy attack, it's going to proc parry because you'll be blocking. And it's also going to work every time you just normally block, or after a push, it'll also proc parry. Every time these shields turn green, parry's being procced, which is timed blocks reduce the stamina cost by 100%. So you effectively lose 0 stamina shields when from any amount of attacks during the duration of parry, which is going to be procced quite often. So it's going to allow you a tremendous amount of survivability, and this weapon is still fast enough. I like to run a little extra attack speed on it, but it's still fast enough that you don't necessarily need Swift Slaying on it. For the second weapon slot, I mean, this one is entirely up to you. It's your preference. I've just got the Hammer and Shield on here because it's really good, safe thing to use. You can use the Great Hammer, you can use the dual hammers, you can use the tome, you can use the single hammer. Honestly, it's up to you. This build is entirely designed around the Flail and Shield, so whatever you feel is a good second weapon, whatever you're most comfortable with, run that. For the necklace, I'm running extra health, 20%, block cost reduction, and I really like Boon of Shalia on him. I love the consistency of the damaging for THP on this weapon. However, the max of 5 per enemy, it's a bit low. So with Boon of Shalia, we get a little bit more. We get like 6 or 7 per swing if we, hit enough enemies, which is pretty good. Allows you to build that temp health faster. Then increases the effectiveness of healing on you by 30%. That is also going to apply from Fury Fortitude, and if you choose to run it, the Comet's Gift, plus any other healing items you choose to use. First Charm, I choose to run 10% Power as Chaos, 5% attack speed, and Concoction. Power as Chaos because Chaos enemies, that's the Chaos faction, and Beastmen all count as Chaos. They have more health than Skaven, so I'd rather do more damage to those guys. Attack speed because I like the way that feels on the Flail. Concoction because his ult. But this setup is going to be just over a minute. And Concoction not only gives you the speed, the strength, but it also takes a minute off your ult at the, basically duration cut in half of the potion. Personally, I like to go for the cooldown reduction. That's going to allow your ult to be closer to a minute. It's going to be working really good with Concoction. And then I run a little extra stamina recovery just for that survivability in case I take a big overhead that doesn't happen during parry and get my shields back a little quicker. However, you can run something like crit chance. That would be fine. And I really like shrapnel, but Grenadier is also pretty good for bombs. Grenadier allows you a 25% chance not to consume a bomb, and Shrapnel allows you to do more damage to enemy types that get hit by a bomb for a little bit. So that's the build, guys. I think he's a very survivable buff machine. Really good. He's pretty much good in every way except against monsters. He can do anything except like solo a monster. That's just not his thing. But he doesn't need that to be his thing. He's really good at what he does. I really like this class. I really like this setup. Let me know what you guys think about this build and what you've been running on the new Warrior Priest of Sigmar. If you like this video, subscribe to this channel, like this video, leave a comment. And if you want to, I have a Discord with over 900 people in it now. Always people looking to play Vermintide, talk about builds and ask questions, whatever. Hang out and chill. Link is in the description down below. Please join if you want to.